Hey you guys, today we're going to talk about the DIY system, the cold air system that I have created for the Vue. Out of necessity due to lack of parts being out in the market, and even if the parts had been available, what I would have had to go through to put the two kits together to create what I've created. I initially did a video when I first did this. Just kind of an overview, but I didn't have all the details together. So today I want to do a little bit better job in giving you details. Let's talk about what was my goal. What was I going after? What my end design was, what the things were that I had seen that pushed me in this direction. This, as we all know, if we have a 3.5 liter Vue, is what everything looks like with this restrictive intake that wraps around. In order to do what a few people have done, which is bring the intake directly here under this headlight, just bring it around, you've got to completely relocate the battery. With a car this old, I don't like my options when it comes to relocating a battery and the fuse box. Sure, you can lengthen some things and be good to go, but I'm not having any wiring issues. I don't have any computer issues. I don't want to introduce anything into the equation that could cause problems with a car this old. You know, you move wiring around too much on an older car, and any type of corrosion or anything that's gotten in there over the years, yeah, you're waiting for a catastrophe. So we're going to nix that right off the top, in case anybody's like, well, why don't you do it like the MDX and da-da-da-da-da? Okay, we're just not doing that. Not unless I was to completely take the car apart and everything else, but I'm trying to keep it reliable. Anyway, moving on. So the first intake that I came across was what K&N, this was what they came up with. They had both a polished version and then a powder-coated version. It's harder and harder to find these pictures online, so I had printed them off during my research, so I'm just showing you guys this. Anyway, so that is what K&N came up with. Everybody was upset because the filters in the engine bay, hot air, blah, blah, blah. It's not really functional. Is it really a cold air intake? Yada, yada, yada. Now, this is all back in the day. None of this stuff is currently available on the market to purchase new anymore. Here's Injen's option. That's with an I. They offered this piece here that would eliminate this box that we have. That box keeps your factory intake and eliminates that box. K&N eliminates the box as well, but it keeps everything in the engine bay. Well, what the engine did is it brought it down and pushed it through the front. This is normally the bar up top. Hang on. That piece right there. So the engine kit brings your piping from the air box right in here, you see. And then it is out underneath the headlight thusly. So this is like if we were to do an image where you're seeing through my headlight. You have a filter right down in there underneath. Okay, so that gives you an idea what the engine offered. There's another picture of it, of course. This is going this way, shooting down into the engine bay. And this is up under the headlight, where, you know, you took the bumper off and installed that in there. What it does is essentially, this is your factory air box. I mean, your factory air intake tubing. Intake words. This is what they both eliminate. One eliminates it and leaves the filter in the stock location. The other one eliminates it and removes this air silencer that's up under the bumper and puts the air filter where this normally sits. And I do have a video where I removed mine. But essentially what I wanted to do is combine both kits together. Now, back in the day, these are the prices for, on the forum. Now, I have a 2004, but that was basically what they were making it for, was the 0405 at this point, although it's January of 05 when this was written. So again, this is 2005 prices. This is what the engine was asking. And nobody was really sure the horsepower and torque performance-wise was going to be. There was a dealer, I guess, who'd done it to an Ion and a couple who'd done it to a few others, and somebody said something about their Maxima. Long story short, people were saying just from the Injen kit, this is the one that goes up under the headlight, that they were seeing approximately, one guy said 6 to 9 on his Maxima. The one guy said the dealer told him on the Redline Ion they saw 20 horsepower gain. Did anybody dyno it? I don't know. Different cars, different motors, everything's going to behave different. So take it as you will. That's what supposedly maybe you would get from this kit. That removes this part of the equation. K&N, from their system, this is what they were reportedly saying. They did a dyno and everything else. So you're going to see this horsepower gain when you get up into the 5,000 RPM range, or basically 5,500. There's your horsepower and there's your torque range, or performance gains. And that is from, again, this. What were they asking back then? I want to say 250 again, right around the same, 260 as the Injen. So if I had done this back when they were new, I was looking at $500 to do essentially what I've done with those manufacturer parts. That just gives you an idea. If I were to have done it now, just for him, whether it was a true listing or a hoax, I don't know, but that's what they were talking about there. They wanted $400 for that from K&N, not a aftermarket vendor. It was K&N. All right, so enough with the why. You can see why I went the DIY route, not only because I couldn't get the parts, but because I was not going to spend that kind of money. It just wasn't going to happen. Not when the K&N now was $500, and if I could find the Injen kit, and if I could put them together, and if. Yeah, I wasn't going to do it. Now, if I find a K&N one, cheap, local, somewhere that, you know, isn't dumb cost, maybe I'll get it. Same for the Injen. If I just happen upon it and I may put it together,